Hello learners, this is Priyadarshi Shubhakant and once again I welcome all of you to my sessions on CNC milling machines. And today we are going to discuss on a very important topic, that is the codes. And in this code we'll be having the 3 sessions, 2 sessions on G codes and 1 session on M codes. So these codes is very much essential to do the programming. So I'll be explaining regarding some of the important codes that we are using in the basic programming of a CNC milling machines. So without wasting much of the time, let us start today's session on G codes. So first of all, starting with the code that is G00. So this G00 stands for moving in a straight line at a rapid speed. That means if you are using this code and you are giving a particular axis like X, Y or Z, then the particular tool will be moving in that axis in a linear way at a rapid speed. Rapid speed means at the maximum feed available with the machine, it will move in that feed. Next, the code is G01. In this code, you can control the feed rate by giving the feed rate in the command that is with F. So here feed rate is what? Now the advancement of the tool on the surface of the job per minute. So here as per the program, we have given G01, X0 and feed rate is how much? 200. That means it will move towards the X0 position with a feed rate of 200 mm per minute. That means 200 millimeter will be covered in a single minute. In that speed it will be moving on to a particular dimension, that is the X0, where we have set our reference point 0 to that it will move on. So that is regarding the G01, and here what happens, with a control feed it will move, whereas in G00 it will move linearly with the maximum feed or in a rapid feed. Okay, then moving on to the next one, that is G02. So here if we need to move the tool in a radial way, that means in an arc manner I can say, or in a particular radius if you want to move the tool, then we have to take the help of G02. G02 stands for the clockwise movement with a given feed rate. That means clockwise movement of a cutting tool with a particular feed rate. That means similar way, like just example you can see I have given over here G02, X minus 10, Y 10 and R I have given 10 along with a feed rate. Initially you can give it, that is F200, 500 or similar way you can give it. So here what happens, now particularly you have to go give the coordinate points, X and Y coordinate points, and similarly also you have to give the radius value. In that particular radius it will move on. As you can see on the screen, it is showing you that now the tool is moving in which way. Now it is moving in a clockwise manner, means the direction the clock moves, it is moving in that manner. But if you are using G03, the same movement will be there, but the difference will be getting it over here. The tool will be moving in a anti-clockwise direction, means the opposite direction of the clock rotation, it will be moving in that direction. So as per the programming, as for the codes, you have to use the particular code along with the coordinate points and as well as the radius, in which radius it has to move. So this is regarding the G02 as well as G03. Then moving on to the next one, that is G04. So G04 means generally what happens, now it is the dwell time, just we can say it is one of the pause time. So for example, you are doing one operation and you need a particular pause time in that one, so you can go for that one like G04 X10. So generally for 10 seconds there will be no movement. That means the feed rate will be constant and there will be no movement in the tool. So that is known as the dwell time. So this time you can give for taking out the chips or removal of the chips. For such purpose these dwell times are used. So here the next code, that is G15, and in this G15 what happens, now it's a polar off, whereas G16 is your polar on. So in polar on, once the polar on is there, that means your coordinate system will be in the polar coordinate system. So in this polar coordinate system, from moving one point to the other point, we need what? Now we need one angle as well as one length. So similarly, just one example I have given, X18 and Y60, as you can see on the slide. That means what happens, X represents the length, that means it has to move 18 mm, and Y60 means at a 60-degree angle it has to move. So particularly if the tool is at a point, and if you want to go for polar coordinate system, that means you have to give the coordinates in angle and using length, then you have to make this polar on by using G16, and if you want to make it off, then you have to go for G15. So this is regarding the polar on and polar off. Then moving on to the next G code. Here you can get it, that is G17, G18 and G19. These are very interesting things. So here what happens, select XY plane is for G17 and G18 is for select XZ plane and G19 is for select YZ plane. So generally what happens, now when there are multi-axis machines, it plays a very vital role. Here as you can see, particular plane is selected in which plane the operation is to be carried out. Like on the image you can see over here, G17, it is generally showing XY plane, and if you are taking G18, it is showing XZ plane, and if you are going for G19, it is showing you YZ plane. So particularly on which plane you want to do the operation, particular operation you want to do it, you have to select accordingly. So these codes are for selection of the particular planes. Then moving on to the next one is your G20. If you want to give the dimension in inch, then particularly you have to use this code G20. If you are using this one, that means the dimension you put like X20, it will take X20 inch instead of 20 mm. But if you are using G21, then particularly it is in metric mode. That means if you are giving X30, it will take 30 mm. So to activate inch mode, we have to go for G20, and to activate millimeter mode, mm mode, then we have metric mode, then we have to go for G21. Please remember this one, it's one of the most important G code. So next one is your G28, and in this G28 it is returned to home position. That means we are having different axes on the milling machines, CNC milling machines particularly, and here what happens, now we can get it X axis, Y axis and Z axis. So these axis 0 reference is set by the manufacturer of the company, that is the home position of the particular axis. So if you want to move these axes into that home position of the manufacturer set point, then we have to use this code, that is G28 X0. That means in the X axis it will move towards its home position, that will be the machine reference point as 0. Then similar way we can go for G28 Y0. That means in Y axis it will go to its reference point, that is set by the manufacturer, that is the machine 0 of the axis. So to set those things, to send this axis to its home position, this command is used. Then moving on to the next one is one of the most important thing. Please try to understand carefully. The first one is for you, that is G40. So G40 is generally what? Now tool radius compensation cancel. So generally what happens, now when we give the coordinates from one point to the other point, we need to move the tool. So what happens, now the radius of the cutting tool plays a very vital role, because if the radius increases, more material will be cut or the less material will be cut. So it depends on the profile what we are going to do it. So just I am showing you in this slide, as you can see here, tool nose radius cancel means from center of the tool to the center of the tool it will take the distance. It is G41, and here what happens, now the tool will be compensated towards the left hand side. That means generally whatever the radius value will be setting in the parameters of the machines, according to that what will happen, now the tool will be shifted automatically towards the left hand side, and it also depends on the movement of the tool direction. That means towards which direction the tool is moving, as per that it will be shifted. As I have used G41 over here, and you can see two of the things as per the direction of the tool, how it is been shifted to the left side. And similarly G42, next you can see here also what happens, now the cutter will shift towards completely to the right hand side. That means generally it also depends on the movement direction of the cutter, which direction it is moving, and as per that towards its right side it will compensate as per its radius, I can say. Okay, so these are the tool nose radius compensation left side, right side, and G40 was your tool nose radius compensation cancel. That was all for today's G codes. Another important G codes are also there, we'll be discussing in the next class. Please stay tuned to my classes, and in the next class again we'll be discussing regarding the important G codes. So for today this much. Have a good day. Thank you all.